Okay, I would like to call this meeting to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mrs. Becker. Mr. Cummings.
Here.
Mr. Goswami.
Here.
Mrs. Guas.
Here.
Mrs. Herrick. Mr. Hung. Dr. James. Mrs. Reese.
Here.
President Lax.
Here. We have a quorum. The others are in traffic and will be joining us in a bit, but we will rise to salute the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed and acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the East Brunswick Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Board of Education offices. Written notice was also provided to the Sentinel, the Newark Star-Ledger, the Home News Tribune, the Alternative Press of East Brunswick, and the Municipal Clerk of East Brunswick. All Board of Education meetings, with the exception of executive session discussions, are videotaped for later broadcast. It is the policy of the Board of Education that videotape meetings are not edited for any purposes. Individuals who speak at the Board's public meeting should be aware of these videotaping rules. Good evening. I'm going to ask for a motion, whereas the Board of Education must discuss matters which are not appropriate for discussion in a public meeting, and these subjects are within the exceptions to the Open Public Meetings Act. The Board of Education intends to discuss matters as follows, those items listed on tonight's agenda. The length of closed session is estimated to be 1 hour, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene and action will be taken. Now therefore be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education will recess into closed session for only the aforesaid subjects, and be it further resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education hereby declares that its discussion of the aforesaid subjects will be made public at a time when the public's interest in disclosure is greater than any privacy or governmental interest being protected from disclosure in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act. Moved by Mr. Cummings.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Guas. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you so much. We will see you in an hour. Okay. Welcome back. Hi to my special visitors. My favorite class. All right. You're in for a treat. We're going to start with the superintendent's report for all of you aspiring superintendents to be out there.
Wonder who they are. Thank you, President Lax. Before I start with the superintendent's report, I would like to make a statement. It has been my honor to serve as superintendent of East Brunswick Public Schools over 10 years. Along with a dedicated team of professionals, we have advanced East Brunswick in academics, athletics, and the arts. More than anything, I want to return East Brunswick to the civility and cooperation that attracted me to this position in 2014. Tonight, I will administratively pull item number 8 under Board of Education action items that would have rescinded my existing contract and would have asked this board for approval of a new contract. I do not wish to put this dedicated board at odds with the community. No further action on my contract shall be considered until a new Board of Education is reorganized in January of 2025. And now for the superintendent's report. This is really about the district. So can we be civil about it?
We're thanking you.
Okay.
Which is more than you deserve.
No, that's not.
The artwork on display in the boardroom this evening was created by students from Memorial Elementary School. The art teacher of these talented students is Margaret Sasso. Cheryl Jones is the principal. On Monday, October 7th, Dr. Herb Paluzzo, Supervisor of Educational Technology, presented Developing a District Strategy for AI From Vision to Reality to the Middlesex County School Boards Association. They were impressed with East Brunswick's leadership in the rapidly evolving field of AI and its appropriate educational utilization. Board members Lori Herrick and Li Wu Hung attended the presentation. The first full week of October is designated as the Week of Respect in the state of New Jersey as part of the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights. Every school with their student assistant specialist and climate committee creates activities, lessons, and spirit days to support our ongoing message of inclusion and acceptance. The focus of the week is to recognize all groups within our community and find ways in which our schools can include and respect all. Main themes for this year were on acceptance, good manners, empathy, honesty, and forgiveness. Students enjoyed dressing up to support themes as well as having classroom lessons and activities. In the month of October, each of our community-based elementary schools in partnership with Keeping Middlesex Moving is hosting a Walk to School Day. The goal is to teach children in Middlesex County the importance of walking safely and the benefits of walking as a means to get to places, exercise, and help the environment. On this evening's agenda is a resolution of proclamation for National Principals Month. I'm proud to recognize the critical instructional leadership of our principals and secondary assistant principals. We appreciate their dedication and commitment to all students in the East Brunswick school community. Also on this evening's agenda is a resolution of proclamation for Fire Prevention Week, which is October 6th through October 12th. According to the National Fire Protection Association, this year's theme is Smoke Alarms, Make Them Work for You. And we are grateful to Fire Marshals Jason Whalen and Sean Verdi, the Fire Prevention Bureau, and all the volunteer firefighters who serve the East Brunswick community. In sports, field hockey remains undefeated, 9-0 and 5-0 in the GMC. They are the 3 times Red Division and GMC champions and looking strong in defending their titles, so congratulations to them. Coach Terry McKibben recorded his 250th career win in boys soccer at the high school with a 1-0 win over St. Thomas Aquinas. Congratulations to our September High School Athletes of the Month. Students were selected for this honor by the coaching staff based on performance, demonstration of leadership, effort and practice, and of course for modeling exceptional character. Parent-teacher conferences will take place on Tuesday, October 22nd through Friday, October 25th. They are single session days for all students with lunch served for grades K through 6. And just a reminder, on Sunday, November 17th, the East Brunswick Education Foundation will be hosting their second annual 5K walk, run, bear crawl, and kids fun run. Get in those steps while meeting new neighbors, supporting school spirit, and helping to fund grants across the district. Please visit our website at ebnet.org for registration. And thank you very much.
Thank you. We have a couple of proclamations, as Dr. Valesky said. The first one, going to ask for a resolution of appreciation for Fire Prevention Week. Whereas according to the National Fire Protection Association, smoke alarms make them work for you, as the official theme for Fire Prevention Week, October 6th through 12th, 2024, promotes potentially life-saving measures that can mean the difference between life and death in a fire. Developing a home escape plan with all members of the household and practicing it regularly ensures that everyone knows what to do when the smoke alarm sounds and use that time wisely. And whereas East Brunswick's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education, and whereas committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in, visiting our town, including our educational community, the East Brunswick Public Schools welcomes East Brunswick's fire and emergency services personnel into our schools to educate our students. Now therefore be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education recognizes October 6th through 12th, 2024 as Fire Prevention Week and encourages all the people of East Brunswick to heed the important safety measures of Fire Prevention Week 2024 and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of East Brunswick's fire and emergency services. And be it further resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education appreciates the efforts of East Brunswick's fire and emergency services personnel to make our community a safe place in which to live. Motion by Mrs. Herrick, second by Mrs. Reese. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
So
And-
we're gonna walk out and give these?
Yep.
And then.
Yes. Oh, I'm so
That's all
sorry,
right.
Rishi.
Just gotta go.
He told me that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll take a break. We'll do you before the principals, because you're the pride of the principals. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
You're very
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hold on. Thank you. Really quickly, I just want to say thank you to the Board of Ed for, as always, allowing us to come into all the schools and talk about fire safety, as it's obviously, we all know how important it is. I do see some principals in here, so thank you for helping us get the kids all ready to go. We finish up tomorrow with Frost and Lawrencebrook. It's been a great week. We love doing it, and we hope to come back again next year and keep it going. I'm sorry?
We go to the end of the month.
I'm sorry, this Fire District 1, they do kindergarten. They'll be doing it till the end of the month as well. 1st to 4th, we finish up tomorrow. So we thank you again for allowing us to come and do this with everybody. So thank you.
All right, this is my bad. So for my friends there, let's put your microphone on. This is Rishi. He's at the high school where you guys are gonna be, seems like forever from now, and he's gonna tell you really exciting things that go on at the high school. And in a couple of years, you never know, one of you may be sitting here, so you think about that. I know I said you could sit there, but you have to sit here first. So you tell them what they have to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a packed house today. I'm a little nervous, but I'll do my best. It hasn't been too long since we last met, but a lot has happened over the course of the last two weeks, so let's buckle up and get into it. The most recent event to occur at EBHS was yesterday's PSAT testing day. Sophomores and juniors spent the most of the day testing on College Board's new online testing system. I heard a mix of responses. Some said perfect 1520s, while others were just happy they finished. After the PSAT, juniors and sophomores spent the day creating Disney-themed posters for next week's Spirit Rally. Seniors, however, had a fun-packed day from start to finish. Following a brief meeting in the morning, seniors went station to station, playing trivia, sports, and participating in game shows. Students were able to bond with new and familiar faces and take a break from the hectic schedule that the start of the school year brings. My personal favorite moment was watching 4 seniors have a dance-off battle in order to determine the winner of our game show. The day culminated with a class photo in which the bleachers were decked out with white shirts and smiles. The week, however, wasn't just host to the PSAT testing day, but also our annual Respect Week. Along with dressing up the Respect Week spirit themes, staff, student leaders, and clubs spent the week working towards promoting inclusion. We emphasized bringing up those around us and helping the school move forward together. Over the course of the last 2 weeks, there have also been a lot of new opportunities at EBHS. This week, teachers now have been dropping into classes and staying after school on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to provide tutoring to students. This allows students a chance to meet with their teachers privately and to discuss questions or concerns they may have. Students falling behind on work or struggling with class can now catch up and feel confident on test day. In addition, based on interest from our students, our dance team was able to go from a club to a full-fledged team starting next year. Talking to one of the members of the dance team, she said that this allows the team to transition from only being able to perform at school events to being able to compete against other schools competitively. The dancers spend all year rehearsing, and now having the ability to represent their school on a competitive level is something that they will treasure. Speaking of girls' sports, our field hockey team moves to an undefeated record of 11-0. This comes after their dominant 8-0 victory versus Monroe on senior night. Rutgers commit and captain of the team, Samantha Arnold, says his team is putting 100% into their practice every day, and their consistent effort is starting to pay off. The biggest game of the regular season will come next week versus Old Bridge. The next few weeks are action-packed, and the year is starting to kick into full swing. The first and most notable thing, is the festivities and excitement of Homecoming Week. Perhaps the most anticipated week of the entire year, it will be, as us kids like to say, very lit. Spirit Week will be held Monday through Friday with themes like Sleeping Beauty Day, in which students will come to school dressed in their pajamas. On Wednesday, the class councils will deck the hallways out with Disney-spirited decorations. And on Thursday, Hochul Court will be voted on and announced, and the magical dance will take place that evening. This week, the week will include with Friday morning's pep rally and Friday night's homecoming football game. I can't wait to experience my last HOCO and share it all with you next meeting. Despite all the after-school planning, the grueling homework, and the mind-bending tests, I can confidently say that this year is unfolding just as I hoped it would. Thank you all.
All right, come on, how'd he do? Excellent. Oh, did he just tell you?
He's going on his college visit, that's why he's
Oh,
right
oh.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, right now.
Yeah.
Go, go, go.
Thank you so much.
Make us proud. Thank you so much.
Don't forget to get your note.
That's right, get your note, yes.
Yeah,
Enjoy.
your principal's out there watching you.
That's right. So it's very appropriate now, speaking of principals, because this is what we're turning these little guys into up here. And that takes a lot of different schools for him to get to that seat. And a lot of the principals that are here with us this evening and some that are not. So I've got another resolution of appreciation from my board. Move that the Board of Education approve the following resolution. Whereas schools inspire the next generation of professionals, political leaders, artists, educators, and others who contribute to a healthy and prosperous society. And whereas principals and assistant principals are responsible for providing instructional leadership and professional management in our schools. And whereas principals and assistant principals set the academic tone for their schools and work collaboratively with teachers to develop and maintain high curriculum standards, set performance goals and objectives, and ensure high-quality instruction. And whereas school principals and assistant principals are responsible for the safety of their students and staff and the security of the school. And whereas principals and assistant principals are key to implementing state and federal education reforms in New Jersey. And whereas the month of October 2024 has been declared National Principals Month and is dedicated to recognizing the significant contributions of our nation's principals and assistant principals and to the enthusiasm they have for providing quality educational experiences and guidance to their students. And whereas the East Brunswick Board of Education recognizes and appreciates the skills, dedication, and commitment of its principals and assistant principals and the challenges they face daily. Now therefore be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education recognizes and commends its principals and assistant principals for their continued service to our children.
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Herrick, second by Mrs. Guas. Is there any discussion? Sure, Mrs. Reese?
I'll say for both, because I didn't want to interrupt before, so I'll mention just the fire and the principals. For our fire officials, thank you so much for all that you do. And for our principals, I thank you for every day you make a big difference in our kids' lives. I always tell the story about how Principal Warren picked up my son Robbie. He was falling on the street in the ice, and she took him by the scruff of his neck, and he picked him up so he wouldn't fall down on the road. And so now he's in college. And so, our principals make a big difference in the lives of each and every student, and they're there day in and day out, and really they make, I remember you used to tell a story, you only go to the principal used to be when you get in trouble, right? But now, principal's your friend. So it's a very wonderful difference, and we thank you for all that you do.
Lunch with principal's a reward, principal for a day.
Yes.
Right? How do we feel about our principal, guys? Good? Thumbs up? All good thumbs up? All right. He gets 2 thumbs up,
I
see?
think Lee wanted to
Yes.
say something
Yes.
as well.
So I just want to comment for both. For all the fire workers, thank you very much, because your job is dealing with life and death. So your job is very critical to the community's safety and community's future. So I, as a East Brunswick resident, as a father and as a board member, I want to thank you for your daily job, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It's always on alert. Whenever there is an alarm, you guys will show up. Thank you. As for the principals, if we say East Brunswick is a bigger community, but people always say, which school are you going? So we have 11 schools, which means East Brunswick is kind of, we can say it's divided by 11 small communities. So the principals, you are your community leader. When when a student got a problem, it's unlikely they'll call Dr. Velasquez, they will call you. So you are very critical. So if we think the East Brunswick Public School is a building, you, the principals, are the cornerstone. It's very critical. Thank you very much for your daily devotion. So I visit multiple schools during the early school hours. Every school, the principals were there. So that is very important. That is your contribution. So you deserve this honor, and I hope you keep doing a good job, keep leading the community, keep making East Brunswick Public School better. Thank you.
Mrs. Goss?
Well, I want to thank the fire prevention team. I especially want to thank the way things are presented in such an age-appropriate way for our students. I know that I have now been firmly lectured about that we cannot have the mailbox as a meeting place because it's right by the house, which I'd never said was the meeting place. But apparently, she's been thinking about it really hard. So second grade has worked out the meeting place, and just really appreciate the time spent in the schools. To the principals, I was considering tonight, I'm in an interesting position because I realized earlier tonight that by the time I'm done with my kids, I will have spent 25 years in this school district and with this spread. And in the past week, my youngest has talked so lovingly and with such admiration about Principal Jones. And just such a role model for her about what is the right thing to do from a 7-year-old's mind, or a 6-year-old's mind, almost 7. But my oldest is at the high school, and she's getting ready to do the teacher practicum through the class, and her greatest desire was to go back to Memorial. And she immediately wanted to know if I could reach out and find out what Mrs. Jones thought about that. So the impact of the principals is so long-lasting that an 18-year-old is still wanting that positive affirmation from her principal. And that same 18-year-old has asked me yet again to buy her a Hawaiian shirt. So apparently, at every level, the principals are just having an impact on the culture and the way the students feel about going to school. So thank you.
Absolutely, okay. All those in favor? Opposed?
Ready to
Abstention?
give some
Motion
stuff
carries,
out.
absolutely, let's.
We have Dr. Ed Bashur, principal of the high school. We have Jennifer Cunningham, assistant principal at Churchill Junior High School. We have Russell Petronko, principal at Hughes Upper Elementary School. We have Enoch Naimichi, assistant principal at Hughes Upper Elementary School. Enoch, congratulations. We have Dr. Nairi Delgado, principal at Frost Elementary School. We have Kristen Gristina, principal at Bound Elementary. We have Cheryl Jones, principal at Memorial Elementary. We have Rachel Whiteston, I'm sorry, Cheryl. Didn't pay attention, I'm sorry. We have Rachel Whiteston, acting principal at Lawrence Brook Elementary. Thanks, And among those who could not attend tonight because of a variety of commitments, Joanne Schmilowitz, principal of Irwin Elementary. Joseph Satari, principal at Warnsdorfer Elementary. Dr. Michael Gaskell, principal at Central Elementary. Tatiana McBride, principal at Chittick Elementary. Len Pazinko, assistant principal at the high school. Christopher Yanazzo, assistant principal at the high school. Erica De Los Santos, assistant principal at the high school. Matthew Hannes, principal at Churchill Junior High School. Ian Ivanovich, assistant principal at Churchill Junior High School. Alexia DeLuca, assistant principal at Churchill Junior High School. And Thomas Hussar, assistant principal at Hammersholt Upper Elementary. And I just want to say to all of you, thank you very much. You are the team that makes things happen. You are part of the leadership of this district, and you do it with such phenomenal excellence every day. And I'm impressed by all of you, so thank you for everything you do.
All right, so not to lecture anyone, but everyone saw how our friends in the front clapped so excitedly, and I'm hoping that we're going to return the favor for them now, because now it's your turn. You guys ready? Okay, so this is my favorite, our Learning Across the District. The first graders at Central Elementary are off to a great start this year. They are learning to solve addition and subtraction problems in math. Students are learning a variety of ways to tackle their problems. They start the year with a toolkit full of manipulatives that can help. These toolkits include connecting cubes, number lines, magnetic counters, and a whiteboard with a double frame on one side and bar diagram on the other. They start with the concrete tools to solve problems and then gradually become more abstract through models and equations. And would you like to introduce my favorite teacher? Okay. I didn't want to steal your thunder.
Well, hello. I'm Lindsay Ligori. I'm a special education teacher at Frost School. Congratulations, Dr. Delgado, for Principals Month. I'm the PEP chair, formerly the Pride chair for the East Brunswick Education Association, and we have scheduled Learning Across the District this year 5 times. So we'll be seeing you. PEP and our East Brunswick Education Association is out in the community. We're in the schools, funding different grants, just like we're going to present to you tonight with Miss Keeley's first graders. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Hello, everyone. We are off to a great start in first grade at Central Elementary. Today, my first graders are going to show you their math skills. Our first 2 topics in our Envision math program focuses on teaching a variety of addition and subtraction strategies. So I'm sure all of us have heard or even said ourselves how math is just different now compared to when we were in school and learned it. And I often tell my families it is different. Instead of just drilling memorization, we really work to build number sense with our children. We want them to understand the relationships between numbers and manipulate them to see that they can be manipulated. In first grade, we learn how to solve problems using a variety of tools. And just like you had read, they often start with manipulatives and concrete concepts and then move to more abstract concepts. So we want students to understand how to use each tool and also think about what strategy works best for them to be able to solve math problems accurately and efficiently. So let me go to the next slide. Today, my first graders are going to teach you how we use our math tools. But before we start, I want to give a special thank you to the East Brunswick Education Association. At the last board meeting, Dr. Zimbicki mentioned the grant money available through the EBEA and NJEA to foster teacher and parent partnership. Last year, the EBEA gave Central School 2 grants, one for a math night, where the EBEA purchased math toolkits for every first grade and second grade student. And we showed parents parents how to use them and games that we could play so that way it could carry over to home as well. And they also funded a literacy night where each first grade classroom got 2 sets of decodable books, and we were able to show decoding skills and games to kindergarten and first grade families. Okay, first graders, are we ready? Yes? Okay. All right, get ready for your math problem. Okay, Madison has 9 blueberries, and Martin gives her 4 more blueberries. So how many blueberries does Madison have in all? Go ahead and solve it. And in preparing for tonight, I asked each student to pick whichever tool they liked best, and they're going to solve the problem using that tool and then explain to us how they solved their problems. Okay. So first up we have Naya. Naya used her connecting cubes to solve this. Naya, tell us what you did.
So I put nine cubes. I started with 9 cubes, then I added 4 more cubes, and that makes 13.
And up next I have Maura and Tessa. I'm going to hold it up for them, okay? You tell them what you did.
First, I did 9 counters, and after I did 4 more, that makes 13.
And Tessa also used, this is called a parts and whole mat, sometimes a bar diagram. Tessa used the same thing, but she used her marker to make a model instead. Go ahead, Tessa.
First, I drew 9 circles, and then I drew 4 triangles, and it equals 13.
It fell on the floor. Just leave it. It's okay. Up next is Zane, and he used a number line.
First, I started at 9 and then I took 4 hops and it landed on 13. So my sum is 13.
And finally, we have James.
I did 9 squares and then I added 4 circles. And I know that this is 1/10 frame because it is filled in. And now I put 3 more. It equals 13. That's the sum.
So before I close out tonight, there's one more piece that my students actually told me that they really wanted to share as well. When I told them about the presentation together and we talked about math class, all of them said that they wanted to share their favorite part of math this year, which is an online program we're using now called Success Maker, which is aligned with our Envision program. This program is responsive to students and able to differentiate math challenges that students will see. And needless to say, it's been a very big hit so far. So they each just want to tell you their favorite part. Naya and Maura.
So I like the pretzels because it's drag and drop. And after you're done with that, they tell you how much pretzels are now. And when they say like 8 and 3, that equals 11. I have rockets, And first, my favorite, it's we need to take away them, and that's fun.
Tessa and James.
I like the shortest and the longest because you have to press the circle. It's either a circle or a square. It's either green or blue, and when you're done, you hit done. If it's correct, you hit next, and then it's on the next problem. If it's wrong, you get one more chance. If you get it wrong the next time, it tells you the answer.
And Zane and James.
I like them solving the math equations. Cause there's a little pin pad to help you. So you click on the box, and then you press the number that you want it to be for the answer of the equation, and then you can hide it by pressing the little line. If you press two numbers, it equals the next number. If you hit the X with the arrow, it's delete. So the number is back out, and if you hit the line, it's the pin pad closes, and it goes small.
And those are my first graders this year.
Thank you, Ms. Keeley. Thank you, Lindsay, and the PEP squad for learning across the district, our favorite. And Naya, Maura, Tessa, Zane, James, you guys did an incredible job. Thank you.
Excellent.
No, I'm squatting somewhere.
So President Lax, can I make a comment?
Oh, absolutely.
Congratulations. Very nice job.
Mr. Hong wants to tell you guys something.
So the young learners, thank you very much. I don't use the manipulate numbers. I use manage numbers. Everything is about math. Everything is about numbers. If you can manage number well, you can manage everything. I want to share my own experience. I was a chemist doing the new drug discovery for Merck. So one of my major targets was attack the hepatitis C virus. It's the biggest virus in human body. But it's a ball, but there's small dent there. So I use computer, calculate the size, so design my inhibitor, which future medicine, by the micrometers. So I have to match the number. And finally, I got it. I was a major inventor for the hepatitis virus, first small molecule medicine on this planet. So keep doing good job. You guys are so lucky, have such a wonderful teacher, have such supportive EBEA, and we're here to support you. So keep doing good job. Remember, everything is about math. If you can manage the number well, you will manage your life. You will be very positive contribution to this country. Thank you again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just said we're going to take a very quick recess so our young learners can get home and get to bed. Thank you again for coming out.
Thank you.
Don't go far. Okay. Who doesn't love learning across the district? So now we are up to the public portion for the public, good of the cause for the public. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comments on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. To protect the privacy of all students and staff, concerns regarding individual students and staff members should generally be addressed by first meeting with the appropriate administrative staff. In order to permit the fair and orderly expression of such comment, the board should provide a period for public comment on every meeting of the board. Residents are welcome to speak up to 3 minutes, and I just ask that when you come up to the podium, you please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. Lou Figueroa, 101 Ruse Lane. I'd like to start by thanking, again, the firefighters that were here this evening, all the firefighters, for what they do every day, and also for the education they give our kids. Because in this district, we're very fortunate. The firefighters really care. A lot of them are parents. They're in the schools, and they really make a difference. So thank you. One thing that I will also say is this district does a phenomenal job of is hiring administrators. We have the best principals anywhere. Dedicated, hardworking. They solve problems every day. They make do with what they have, and they support their teachers. They work with their parents, and they take care of our kids. So I wish they were still here, but thank you to all of our principals. Much appreciated what you do every day. This evening, Dr. Valesky, I know what you had to do and what you said tonight took a lot of courage in my mind. I believe that it was a difficult decision. I think it was the right decision. I will tell you that, and I'm sorry the kids are gone too, because this is exactly what happens in a great country like we have. We have dialogue, we have people saying we have needs, and the people who are in charge, please listen to us. And I think tonight we saw that. But it does take courage to do that. And it wasn't easy, I'm sure, as a board. There was probably a lot of conversation about that. But I want to thank you for at least the way you said it, the way you did it, and I think that's the right thing. As I've said before, Dr. Valesky is not the issue here. The issue is the board, we as a group, the board as a group, has to make sure that the superintendent is held accountable. And that's really the whole thing. So I think tonight we saw the start of, I hope, some healing, because I know there were a lot of concerned residents. And I think after tonight, at least, we may be going in a direction where there's healing. I know we have an upcoming election. I know there's some great candidates in this room. I wish all of you a tremendous amount of luck. And I know whatever this district decides, I know we'll be going forward. And all of us, I hope whether we win or we lose, I hope all of us go forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Figueroa. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the board this evening? State your name and address for the record, please.
Anna Braun, 9 Racetrack. I had the privilege of growing up here in East Brunswick, going to school here, graduating from high school, raising my family here, getting my dream job here in 1987, teaching at Hammersholt. And I witnessed our schools being designated as nationally recognized blue ribbon schools. I got to help get the bond referendum passed for a new Hammersholt. And I was so proud to teach in this district. I was proud to watch the schools improve year after year and become the envy of other districts in the state. East Brunswick truly exemplified excellence. Now, in 2009, Governor Chris Christie imposed devastating cuts in state aid. East Brunswick was hit hard, and it was a terrible time. Deep cuts in programs and staffing had to be made. Really, it's not dissimilar to what happened to us this spring. But there is a difference between the budget crisis of 2009 and 2024. Superintendent Joanne Magistro led by example. She went to her principals and administrators, and she said, look, we can't close the budget gap. People are going to lose their jobs. The least we can do is share the sacrifice. She reopened her existing contract, renegotiated it, and voluntarily took a pay freeze. The rest of the administration and the principals followed her lead. And the teachers' union contract was also up for negotiations, and it too was frozen. And I never forgot what she did, because she was truly an inspiration. And I'm genuinely glad that the discussion on the superintendent's contract has been put off until after a new board is seated. It would have put the incumbents in a terribly awkward position. Because if they voted to give the superintendent a raise, the voters would react negatively at the polls on November 5th and pretty much ruin their hopes of an elected office. But that still doesn't negate the fact that this board, not once but twice, was willing to renegotiate the superintendent's contract with a pay raise. We can't afford textbooks, substitute teachers, or professional development, but we're renegotiating the contract of one of the highest paid superintendents in the state. I really wish our administration was as eager to present a solid plan to move forward with either the renovation or construction of a new high school as they are to pad their retirement account. Instead of wasting time on contracts, how about figuring out a way to relieve the overcrowding at Churchill? How about holding the administration accountable for the terrible staff morale? Try as they might, poor staff morale is going to negatively affect the kids. Our staff has been intimidated into silence and are not allowed to speak out to the problems that are going on. But I can, and I will. Whether I get elected to the board or not, it doesn't really matter, as long as these issues are brought to the public, because there's a microphone on both sides of the dais.
Thank you, Dr. Braun. Is there anyone wishing to speak to the?
Jack Levitt, 4 Springfield Road. For those of you who were at the PTA Candidates Forum last night, this is going to sound redundant. I was asked the question about if I was a board member, how I would address the issues of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia in the district. Over the last few weeks, I've had the privilege of sitting down with members of the Muslim community and members of the Israeli community and heard their stories. I've heard stories of kids who were turning off a Bunsen burner being told not to because Hitler didn't finish the job. I've heard about kids walking between classes being called terrorists just because of their nationality. I even heard about one student who left East Brunswick because he felt so intimidated and is now in Israel in bomb shelters telling his parents he feels safer there than he does here. And I'm scratching my head. East Brunswick, New Jersey, where we live, it doesn't make sense. Now, this is a global problem, and we're not going to solve world peace, literally world peace here. But we do have the opportunity to address it in our towns and more specifically in our schools. I know that kids bully. That's a fact. It happens in every school. It happened when I went to school, and it always has. But this brand of bullying is up several notches. And, you know, you think about where are kids hearing this? I to the bottom of my core, I hope it's not at home, but I really blame social media. This is where our kids are getting their education. And we have the opportunity to stop it. We have the opportunity to stop it and reverse it and teach the truth. And there's a truth for each community, and there is a lot of healing that has to happen. I know there's a day of professional development about bullying coming up, but this specific subset of bullying requires much more. There are a lot of free resources out there that each of the communities offers, and we have some great counselors in the district, and I think we really need to double down or triple down or quadruple down on development for them. Also for teachers, I think teachers might be overhearing some of this, but realize if they take one student to task for what they've done, that community is going to get outraged. And they don't want to risk the outrage and causing a resurgence of all that hate that's going on in schools. So my vision, my hope is that if we get the right people involved to create conversations between students, between parents and counselors, we can actually be a role model for other schools in the state and the country. And I'd like to chair it if I get on the board.
Thank you, Mr. Levitt. Is there anyone? Yep. Okay, come on down.
Good evening, Jennifer Figueroa, 101 Ruse Lane. I have a safety concern with the arrival drop-off at a Churchill Junior High School. This is my third year dropping a child off at Churchill each morning. 2 years ago, there was a security guard stationed at the curb of the 7th and 8th grade building that helped with the flow of traffic and redirected parents if they weren't following procedures. That guard was there for about the first half of the year outside. But after procedures were set and expectations were clear, drop-off was pretty smooth. Last year, in the same area of the 7th and 8th grade entrance, there was a security guard that was posted at the curb for about the first month of school. And again, establishing the procedures and expectations for the drop-off. And for the most part, the drop-off was fine. A few issues, but drop-off reminders were sent out. This year, being my third year at dropping off at Churchill, there has not been a security guard posted at the curb at all, and I've seen many near misses. Cars are pulling up ahead in the line, cutting into the line as cars are attempting to pull out into the flow of traffic, parents dropping off on the left side of the one-way street where students are opening their doors and stepping out into the flow of traffic. I saw a child almost get hit. I spoke to Mr. Hannes, the principal at Churchill, over 2 weeks ago, but I haven't seen a change. I drop off every single morning. So I have two questions. One, have there been cuts to security this year as well? And is student safety no longer a top concern for our students?
Thank you, Mrs. Figueroa.
Hi, Mark Sismar, 100 Fresh Ponds Road. First of all, to everyone that's running, the incumbents, the new folks that came out, I think it's wonderful that we have a large number of people instead of just 2 people stepping up for 3 spots and we're scrambling to find somebody else. So I do wish you all luck, and I mean that with my heart. If you care what I think, but you know, everybody that knows me, I always say what I think anyways. I am supporting Dr. Figueroa, Dr. Falco, Mrs. Figueroa, and for the 1-year slot, Dr. Anna Braun, which would have been my slot for next year. Nothing against the other candidates. I know it's a tough job, and any one of you that steps up and tries to do it, you know, I appreciate that. And that's about all I have to say tonight. And, you know, a little bit of, Dr. Valesky, I think that is a great move to wait for the new board, because it is in kind of flux. So I do compliment you on that as well. So good luck to everybody, and like they say, be careful what you wish for sometimes, if I can make a little joke, but it's a wonderful feeling when you see stuff like we saw on the front row tonight. The President-elect, you're right, those are the best nights when the kids get up here and, you know, they speak better than I do, and I've been doing it for how many years up here on this earth. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night, and happy Halloween.
Thanks, Mr. Sismar.
Erin Jenkins, 24 West Amherst. I apologize that it's taken me a while to get here to bring this up, but I would like to discuss graduation. One of my daughters had her name called. Mr. Pizzenko stuck out his hand to shake hers. She walked right by him. Dr. Valesky, you went to raise your hand for all of about 2 seconds, then put it down before she got to you. President Locke, she walked right by you as well. So later on, I said, what was that about? She said, I refuse to shake the hand of people I don't respect. Most parents would feel their child was disrespectful. I was very proud of her. Dr. Valesky, you spent many minutes in all of these meetings that I've attended defending your service. Giving the Pledge of Allegiance during graduation, you did not even turn and face the flag. You talk about disrespect of servicemen, you illustrated it at graduation. She would have walked right up to Lou and hugged him, as he is more a part of her high school at the time than anybody else on that stage. At 17 years old, she was aware what has gone on in this board and did not want him to receive juvenile repercussions. This is the impression the school board left with a graduating senior. Upon rewatch, I saw the other students that did not shake hands as well. They have their own reasons, but it was the same outcome. The board repeatedly spoke about community and how we need to be a community and come together for support. Well, I want to say job well done. You have created a community of people that had little knowledge, interest, care about the board prior to the announcement of terminating Dr. Figueroa. I am one of them. You created an amazing community of people that want better for the school district. We want to remove the toxicity of this board. The board that President Locke you just referred to is quote-unquote my board. The fact that this contract change was even brought up is a clear sign of what is going on here. We see you, and now you see us. And you will see us come out to the polls. You will see us coming together to support the children of this district and do right by them. Everybody on that ballot that is not currently a board member wants to make a difference in our community. So when the elections results come in, change walks in the door, pat yourselves on the back. Job well done in getting this community together for a better district and the demise of a dictatorship full of false promises and lies. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins.
Good evening, board members. My name is Nicholas Cabrera, resident of 205 Fresh Ponds Road. I would like to address the recent discussion regarding the superintendent's pay raise and contract extension. While I understand that the board has decided to delay the vote, I must ask, why bring it up at all? I wonder if this is an intentional move, perhaps to create the illusion of solidarity with the community by postponing the vote for a more favorable time. This suspicion arises because the topic has already been brought up twice to the floor. It feels like a strategic delay rather than a genuine consideration, potentially with the intention to shoot it down now only to bring it back later for approval under less scrutiny, especially during an election time. During tonight's meeting, it was stated that principals are the cornerstone and leaders of their small community. If that is the case, what then is the role of the superintendent? How can we justify rewarding an individual with a pay raise and a contract extension when the district is facing serious issues? How can we reward someone who is not providing the support and leadership necessary to fix the problems at hand? This becomes even more concerning considering the district's nearly $8 million deficit under the superintendent's leadership. Programs have been cut, positions eliminated, and yet we are debating a pay increase and contract extension later for the individual overseeing this financial mismanagement. During my short time working in East Brunswick and speaking with many community members, I frequently heard from employees who spoke of fear of reprisal from the superintendent and Bernie. This administration seems to be running a culture of intimidation, where even building administrators fear speaking up. I urge this board to reflect on the principles of ethical leadership. Delaying a vote for strategic reasons does not serve the community, nor does it address the real concerns about leadership, transparency, and accountability. Decisions should be made in the best interest of students, staff, and community, not based on political maneuvering or fear. Remember, you are all civil servants.
Thank you, Mr. Cabrera. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the board?
Hi, I'm Tom Sclafani, 2 Morgan Place. Just want to start off, I thought with the little kids today was phenomenal, you know? I mean, really. And showing it up on the board and everything, that was great. And that kind of gets me to what I want to talk about, is, you know, I'm hearing stuff about how we want to charge PTAs and booster clubs to use the school and things like that. I've been involved in coaching for 48 years. I currently coach at St. Thomas Aquinas, and I've coached here. I was the girls' coach here for 2 years. I just think when you're trying to charge people who run booster clubs and PTAs, my wife was on the PTA. Her job was head of fundraising. All my kids, all 5 of them, so she was there for like 17, 18 years raising money. She probably raised about 50 grand in that time. But they're raising money. Why would we charge anybody that is servicing our kids any fee at all? I don't get that. So I just really want to kind of, you know, like coaching. I have to raise money for my team every year. It's a lot of work. Put a lot of time into stuff like that. So, you know, just to spend extra money to have a meeting and stuff, it's taken from the budget. It's taken from the kids. Look at the kids we had today. They were phenomenal. Why would we want to charge the PTA, who is doing everything for them. And they all pay a membership. It used to be $10. I don't know if it's still $10. But why would we charge them? So I kind of urge all of you to really reconsider that. I think that would be a good move not to do that. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scafani.
Hello, my name is Catherine Nguyen. I live on Old Tenant Court. I just need to clarify that I have been upholding the law that the district has been breaking for 5+ years. Recycling is mandatory. It's a law. I have, from the start, been telling you to follow the law. And I have been vindictively harassed, lied to, and employment discrimination. Everybody should know that I was the recommended hire by the supervisor of world languages to the CJHS French position. Then when it went to HR, it didn't go through. I wonder why. To overturn the recommended hire by the person in charge of deciding who's the best candidate for this, there has to be some real reason. And then I find out that the position, since the beginning of the year, for the first month, was taught by a Spanish teacher who doesn't speak French. Hello? You have done crime after crime after crime. Follow the law.
Thank you, Ms. Nguyen. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the board this evening? Okay. Oh.
You know, I had a whole lot I wanted to say.
Excuse me, can you state
Oh,
your name
of
and
course.
address?
I'm sorry. Mark Scherer, 7 Falcon Road. I had a lot I wanted to say. It was going to be directed at Bernie, but he's not here. And I had some things to say about the contract extension. And, well, we're not voting on that. So I'm just going to say that I'm grateful to be here in East Brunswick, and I'm supporting Figueroa, Falco, and Braun, because I want to build a healthy learning environment for our children and a healthy working environment for our teachers. And I want to see our board work towards solving problems in a better manner than they did at the last board meeting. I think the way that you tried to, whatever it was that you tried to do at the last board meeting was indicative of how you've solved problems in the past, or how you've addressed problems in the past, and how you may address problems going forward. And that's unacceptable. So that's it. Shana Tova, Figueroa, Falco, and Braun. We can win this thing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the board this evening? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public portion.
So, President-elect, since you've closed, good of the cause, can I just make a few corrections?
Sure.
Because I think it's important for the community to know. I'm just giving information for the community. I wanted to assure Mrs. Figueroa that we will look into the issues that you brought up immediately tomorrow. Safety is our top priority, and we don't want to have anybody injured, so thank you for bringing that to us. I'll talk directly with Mr. Hannes again. PTAs. We do not charge any facility fees for PTAs. We have a security officer, an SSO, that is usually assigned to a building for the evening. If a PTA has a meeting or event that can be handled by that one single security officer, the district absorbs that charge. We have talked with the PTAs, and they understand that if they need additional security for any of the events that they run, that there will be a charge for that security officer. But the district pays the entire cost of custodial maintenance after PTA events.
Why would we have the choice?
Sir, you can't yell from the audience.
I mean, I asked questions.
Sir, you can't yell from the audience. Sir, you have to stop.
What I can do is I can put something together that we'll share at the next meeting for information in the superintendent's report to clarify.
And Mr. Scalfani, if you would like to also follow up with Dr. Valesky's office and get more information.
Yep.
Because this is unfortunately is not the forum to be able to have the back and forth. We always say that, but I think he's trying to answer your questions and let you know, so.
I understand what you're saying.
Yep,
I'm
so,
just looking,
yes,
try to clarify the.
absolutely, and that's why I think we'll.
And we can do that if you would like to talk to Mrs. Mandler in the back. I
Yep.
don't see, oh, there she is, raising her hand.
Yeah,
Then we'll get you an answer directly.
I just, sorry, Matt, I can see he
No
wanted to
problem.
just make sure he was answering it. I think, and Mr. Sismar probably said it best in terms of people running for the board, whether they're here or out there. I think it's great running to be volunteers. Be careful what you wish for is probably more true than you know. Thank you, Mark. But, you know, we always say this, and I forgot who said social media bad. Was it Jack? Thank you, Jack. But there is, and I always say this, and, you know, I'm sure I'm going to get snickers and people are going to laugh, but the reality is, it's really very hard to do a job when someone says something and you don't get to respond. And this evening, you know, Dr. Figueroa is absolutely right. This was very brave and courageous of Dr. Valesky. For the record, this was not the board's decision. The board was not happy with this decision. And I know that a lot of you feel that we heard the community, but I can tell you that maybe 4 or 5 emails came in. I don't know how many phone calls you may have gotten. It really was not the will of the community. And I'm not a big social media person, not on social media much myself, but I'm going to do something I don't generally do. I'm going to read something from social media because everyone comes up here and tells us we're terrible and tells us that the entire community is against this board and this man. But I would like to say that I truly believe it's a very small number of people. And a lot of this has started with someone who posted on social media, who took the job of being a campaign god and choosing who candidates were going to be, and posted on social media the following: the order of operation, 1, win 4 seats in November. 2, attempt to sway 1 board member to break away from the pack and form a majority to oust Lax as president. 3, if number 2 fails, wait 1 year and win the next 3 seats through this group. 4, new board majority does not renew Victor Valesky contract. 5, new superintendent, Lou, has the pleasure of firing BG. This is what we are doing. So this was the motto or the intention of the Take Back Our EB Schools. Now, I don't care why people want to run for the Board of Ed, but I think we at least have to be honest. You don't run to try and take over the schools. The superintendent, all the principals that we applauded tonight, and the assistant principals, they do report to this man. He has hired many of them. So their success is his success. I just think it's something that we need to keep in mind. And really, at some point, it has to go back to being about the kids again, because I know for myself, when I got up here, it was to make the district a better place because I've spent my whole life here. You can snicker. It would be nice if you'd be respectful. I listen to every person that gets up there, but, you know, I can't teach you people not to be bullies, you know, and unfortunately, that's what happens a lot. You know, we ask our kids to be better behaved, and then people come in here and say, I speak for the town, and they speak for maybe 3 people, 5 people. And you want to know something? I will listen to every person that speaks for 3 people or 5 people, because that's what I was elected to do. I don't have to agree with you, to respect you, or to represent you, but it would be nice if you would give a little bit of respect up here. And I am sorry that you made that decision. And I think I speak for this board when I say that it is a shame, and I am looking forward to having this conversation in the future. But I will say, you can say wow.
You just demonstrated why you have the reputation that I do.
Well,
You're out of order.
That's fine.
Good.
But, you know, but remember something, just because you say it on social media doesn't make it true. And anyone that looked at the contract was mistaken if they think that there were any raises in there. Actually, not only are there no raises in there above the cost of living, it's actually under the cost of living. Our other bargaining units get more increases. And I would never take that away from our principals, our supervisors, or our hardworking teachers and support staff. But it's very interesting that the one who has the least amount, that's what you're upset with. But again, look, I'm not trying to fight with you. I'm really not. But there is that reality. At least if somebody wants to come and they wanted to look at the contrast, at least speak from facts. I have no problem with anyone that says this isn't the time or that you don't agree with it. You don't have to, but at least speak from facts. So.
It's not an open period.
I'm sorry, and I'm starting this. I'm happy to talk to anybody after I close the meeting, and you can ask me whatever you want, and I will answer it. Okay? Anyway, it's just a shame because we really should be celebrating things like our principals. We should be celebrating the fine work of the people that put their lives on the line, and we should be celebrating these children. Okay, so, all right, well, I'm actually going to call for a motion to combine this evening's agenda items. Moved by Mrs. Goss and second by Mrs. Reese. Is there any discussion on any items? And I will call to your attention that we have removed the
Personnel addendum, item
So-
number 2 under HR.
Yep, so without that, anything else you have, any comments or discussion on? Excuse me, Dr. James, I don't mean to take away your hard work.
Just number 7, under the financial services. I just wanted to thank them. I can do it at the end.
No.
Oh, go ahead, yeah, absolutely.
After the motion, there has to be a motion
We have
first.
the motion, a second.
Oh, I did, the motion was, oh, okay, that's okay.
You can speak now.
Oh, okay.
That's okay, this is fun, I get to school Joe a little bit.
Okay, great. I know it's a bit of a weird time, but I did want to bring us back to a happy place here just for a second and give a thank you to the Hammersholt PTA. Hammershult's PTA president is here in the audience, and she, along with Julie Klimczak, the events chair, really spearheaded a large gift, which is on the agenda tonight. It's an over $8,000 gift for picnic tables that will be in the Hammersholt courtyard. This is something that the PTA has really been working hard on so that our 5th and 6th graders will have more use of outdoor spaces. They can go outside now for lunch and give them some time to get some of that fresh air and really use those beautiful courtyards that we have. And I just want to commend the PTA for their years of work on age-appropriate outside spaces at Hammersholt. The prior 2 years since the Hammersholt switch, the PTA donated $999 each year for recess equipment, and I'm just really proud to see this donation make the agenda. So thank you so much, Mary Ann and your team.
Thank you, Dr. James, and thank you for bringing it back to the positive. So just to remind you, any discussion on the agenda, because it was just asked. Mrs. Goss, you have,
I just wanted to say, I took the time to read the policy changes that we have, and I think that they're timely because October is Disability Awareness Month, and a great deal of the language changes that were made align with the law, which is more inclusive, and I sat and read, and I appreciate that the law is moving in a direction to recognize and be more inclusive of all groups with protective policies. That's all.
thank you. Mrs. Herrick?
Yes, so I have a couple things. Under Board of Education, number 1, bylaws and policies. Our second reading as to how we elect a member for a vacancy. I just would like clarification, and maybe Mr. Jacoby, you can jump in here. I was asked by somebody who said that it was posted on social media that if we had a vacancy to fill, we would be voting in private. And I just want to say for the record, and maybe you can confirm, that our policy has stated and does state that we do all voting for vacancies in public.
That is correct. That's what the state law requires. And just earlier this year, you filled 2 vacancies, and those votes occurred in public. And they've always occurred in public. And it's mandated not only by board policy, but by state law.
Okay.
And so the board policy follows the state law.
Okay, thank you. Under financial services, number 1, the acceptance of the funding for Special Olympics Unified Champion Schools. I'm very happy that, again, that we received that funding. This program provides inclusive sports opportunities, youth leadership, whole school engagement by contributing to a positive school climate. And then I just want to take a second under, I think we're under student services, number 4, for the nursing service plan. Included in the service plan was the report for the 23-24 school year. And the report provided and covered a vast range of services that are administered by our nurses. And I just think that after looking at it, from medication orders to assisting with emotional health concerns, food assistance, vaccinations for like flu shots and trainings, I just think it's important to thank our nurses, because our school nurses, the amount on here is just amazing of the services that they provide, doing food drives, holiday food assistance. I mean, the numbers here as to how many visits, from students and screenings that they do. It's important that we recognize the hard work that they do. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Herrick. Sure.
I just want to follow up on Ms. Herrick's comment on the board appointment for the election. That would be, just to make sure everybody's clear on that, that's anytime that a special election occurs, right? So if we have a vacant seat, and the change here is that the process would be the same as when a president and vice president are elected. So everybody would submit their choice for the candidate, and it would be passed to the center and made known to the public. So a little bit of a different twist, but essentially accomplishing the same thing. So just clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. Is there any other discussion? Okay, well then, did you
I
have something?
have one question,
Sure.
actually. Few parents reached out to me about saying that when the
I'm
parent-teacher...
going to stop you for 1 second. Is it regarding the agenda? Because we're going to have the good of the
No,
cause.
agenda is done.
No?
I'm good with the agenda.
Oh, no, then I'll
This is
just,
diff-
let me take the vote, and then I can, okay. So I'm going to ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Goswami?
Yes.
Mrs. Guas?
Yes.
Mrs. Herrick?
Yes.
Mr. Hong?
Yes.
Dr. James?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
President Lax?
Yes, motion carries, bringing us to committee reports, information items, and the good of the cause for the board. And I'm going to start with Mr. Goswami. Please repeat. Sorry about
This is
that.
a very general, simple question, actually, for the parent-teacher conferences, when the communication comes in, and by the time the parents goes to block the time with the teacher, the blocks get full, but there are parents who have not been able to select a time. How can we resolve this? Because I have been one of the parent who was not able to select a time because they were full by the time I go. But are we not putting those time or those brackets as per the total number of students so that everyone gets a time to talk to the teacher?
I think Dr. Boley will speak to this, but also on the technology side, we're aware that when we open the opportunity to fill one of those slots for the parent-teacher conference, there are people on their phones literally waiting to select that slot.
But-
So we have a lot of people going in at the same time. So it's really difficult because of the number of people that are going in. But Dr. Boley, in terms of the number of slots,
For the lower grades, the teachers would have enough slots. In the secondary schools where they have many students, if a parent couldn't get a slot scheduled, they can always reach out to the teacher I've and done that. have a communication.
I have
I've
to.
done a phone conference or some other option.
And they're very good about it.
And don't they prioritize as well? I think students in need, I think that's part of it too.
There are
is they'll open
priority
and parents that are
conferences.
given priority if the need is greater. But
Okay.
I've, like Mrs. Reese, I've had that where my child, by the time I got on there,
Because some
the spot
parents
was
also
gone.
reached out, and I also have faced, so was thinking that I will
Teachers are
ask.
really good about that,
Okay.
yeah. No, they are.
Thank you,
They are
Ms.
spot
Bowley.
on. Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Reese.
Hello.
Sorry.
No worries.
Putting my glasses on.
I wanted to thank Dr. Herb Paluzzo. I attended an AI conference on Tuesday evening at Hammersholt that was geared towards Churchill and the high school. And I don't have a very high-tech way to show this, but I just thought I'd show what he's doing with our AI Ed Center and the teachers that work in this area. So this is a scale for the teachers and students, and it's an easy read format. So students know what level of use of artificial intelligence they can use with their homework. I mean, they're dealing with this day in and day out. If you go to Facebook now, it actually has AI in Facebook, even if you don't ask for it. So they're gonna have to deal with this, and also for jobs that we don't even realize that are coming about. So there's level 0 is AI free, that assignment you shouldn't consult AI, and then it moves up the chain 1, 2, and 3. So if there's editing, refinement, or if this is something that you really can use AI, but you have to cite it, and you teach them how to cite it. So I want to just say thank you for that, and I'm sure we can get the date. There's another one for the
15th.
The 15th of October,
October.
right? For the elementary students, because yes, they're using it too, so it's pretty impressive. And I wanted to thank the administration for that. And I also wanted to mention the PTA, thank you to the PTAs for having the candidate night. It was informative and helpful, and I want to thank our PTAs. And I want to reiterate that we're very thankful to the PTAs. I myself was a PTA president and involved with the PTA for many, many years, and we very much appreciate many people on this board have been involved or are currently involved with the PTA, and we do appreciate what you do day in and day out. It makes a big difference, and some of my best memories are on the PTA, so I don't want to get all choked up, but it was a wonderful experience. And I also want to thank our security team. There was some discussion of security at Churchill and what have you. We appreciate you telling us these things. We do respond to them. I always felt safe, even with the terrible school shootings and other things that were going on in the world. When I send my kids up, my daughter just graduated last year in June. I always felt safe sending them here to the East Brunswick school system. So I really want to take this opportunity because they should get the credit. Our security folks are the envy of the entire state when they go to conferences to talk about security, and that is something that Dr. Valesky has worked very tirelessly on with our security folks. And when people were first deciding whether they should be armed, whether they shouldn't be armed, who should we bring in, what should we bring in, we were way ahead on that. So thank you very much for all you do for our students. I appreciate that. And, you know, I just want to say I wasn't going to really, I thought there was no need to address it because the contract, I thought he did a very selfless thing in that respect. He cares more about the students in the community than his own personal interests. But it's hard to sit here and hear all the negative comments. I'm not saying there's not room for improvement. I'm a parent. I'm a resident. We have to be friends after these things, the election is over. We work together as a community. And we all want to work with the community. But I just feel that the tenor that we're speaking to one another is not what we would want to teach our children. And I got into this, I don't have any aspirations for higher office. I don't have any other political plans. I did it as everyone here did it to help the kids. And we're not looking for your praise, but we're just looking to have a civil discourse. We actually teach this in the high school, how to debate, and some of the anti-bias training that's going to be coming in is also discussing how to have a civil discourse on topics that you disagree upon, because that our diversity is what makes us strong. And so I just want to let you know that no matter our opinions on any topic, I hope we can talk to one another with the kind of respect and kindness that we are trying to teach to our children. We have fine teachers here. We're very fortunate. Our administrators are excellent. And we hear you. And I think we need more forums where the community can speak. You know, the rules of the board meeting are such that there's a limited time, and we can't, it's not like the British Parliament where they yell and they scream at each other in the British Parliament, and they yell out at the next person and yell out at the next person. That would devolve into chaos. And so I just hope that we can maybe do a meet and greet or things like that. I know that I would be happy to do that. I'm sure there are many board members. We'd have to find the right venue for that. But I just hope that you realize that the reason a large part of why our values of our homes are going up is because of the schools. And a lot of things are going well. And of course, again, there are things to do to improve. I'm here, I live here, I understand the challenges we face, but how we talk to one another does make a big difference, and I hope we can work together to do that. Thank you.
Very well said, Mrs. Reese. And Dr. Valesky, maybe it's time for another post-it night, for a way for the community to get to talk to you, to us. I know that was very successful a few years back, where people do have concerns that they want to bring in less than a 3-minute time period, so.
Mhm. That was a great activity, actually.
Yeah. Ladies?
No, please. Okay. Are you sure?
I am so sure.
Okay, thanks.
How we should talk to one another. Thank you for modeling it.
Yes. So, just a few things. So for New Jersey School Boards Association, we had our legislative committee meeting last Saturday in Trenton, where talks continue about school funding formula, special education, pilot money, and transportation cost. There were 2 legislators there from District 16. South Brunswick is one of the towns that they oversee. There was a lot of discussion about how South Brunswick has made major cuts because of their funding over the past few years. And I have to say, though, that there's, at this time, there's no updates to the formula. They're trying to create a task force or get together some sort of committee. And I'm not hopeful or optimistic that come our next funding cycle, that the formula will change. And so knowing that, and I also think it's important to be clear that the formula, you know, when they talk about our district paying our district fair share, you know, it's really, at first, this funding formula was to take money and make sure that it was properly allotted through all districts, including ones who, you know, needed the funding extra. And so, I don't know, I think it's gonna take time as far as the formula, but we'll remain optimistic about our future. And then to talk about Dr. Pluzzo again, Mr. Hong and I attended New Jersey School Board meeting on Monday evening, and he gave a great presentation to school board members from across the county, and there were even some from Monmouth County that came that wanted to see. He gave them a presentation on AI in our district, how it's been used. Everybody was very impressed by him. He talked about how he not only, that he takes teacher and student participation, that he has focus groups and feedback groups, that he works with students to work through the AI process, what's their feedback, the stoplight, as Mrs. Reese said, and you know, how we went about setting up policies and how we're working on different levels for each, you know, the different grade levels. And I just think it was pretty amazing. We have like an AI site, a website, that other districts are using that provides resources and information, and they're coming to us. And I think that just shows how strong we are in many areas in our district, especially when it comes to technology and technology advances. I know he's not here tonight, but I will also say this. Many people that I talk to that work in the district, they don't ever give themselves the accolades. They give it to others. And I think Dr. Paluzzo was one who talked very highly of his supervisors, the people that he works with, the teachers, the principals, and how open everybody is to having a collaborative working environment and learning from each other and asking questions. And he even said, because I was like, Dr. Paluzzo, tell me, like, I have concerns about AI, right? Sometimes I use it for some of my grant reporting or like looking up information, and I know what it's there is not accurate. And so how do we find those tools to check and to make sure that it is? And he was like, Mrs. Herrick, you're gonna love like slide number 5 in my presentation, because it's like using AI as a tool, right? Which is what it is, a tool. And he said that like he has these discussions with teachers and principals and other parents that are concerned, and that's why he's doing these parent university nights where people can ask him questions and have dialogue, because it's important to hear everybody's views. And I just feel like it's an example of how we do things very well, that other towns, other districts are looking to us regarding policy and regarding how we're handling advancements in technology. So I just wanted to say thanks. I think that's good for everybody in the district that's working on it. I think it's a great example.
Thank you. Mrs. Goss and then Mr. Hahn.
So,
Go ahead, Mr. Hall.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Good. So I'm sorry. So I'm serving on the executive board member for Middlesex County School Board Association. The reason why we invite Dr. Paluzzo for that AI presentation is because East Brunswick's job regarding AI is the first of the kind. We're the true leader for the state of New Jersey, even almost for the leader in this country. So we decided to invite him, and he did impress all meeting attendees. And I'm really proud of him. And he did give a lot of credit to Dr. Volaski and Dr. Bowley. So, and both their leadership. So he said his job is because of their leadership. I agree with him. So Middlesex County School Board Association will invite Senator Van Gapol. He is the Senator Education Committee chairperson to Middlesex County for the budget meeting after the election. So I'm going to send out the invitation to the board members and the board member elected. The reason why I make the arrangement is we want the newly elected board member know how the budget is decided and give you the opportunity to ask questions. This year only, I personally met this senator twice, one in a very private situation. I'm very disappointed about the state's direction. I don't think we'll get big boot for next year. But South Brunswick, each time when we met him, they show up, a lot of people showed up, they asked questions, they even formed a group to Trenton to his office. So, and in November, after the election, we'll have the meeting. I'm going to send out the invitation. So anyone who is interested, please join. At least you tell him what your concern is and what impact, bad, negative impact to East Brunswick last year. Hopefully we can get something. If you don't cry, you're not getting the milk. I have two twin boys. So the one who cry loud, he always get fed first. So that's where I met him twice, and I'm going to meet him again, and I'm going to meet him again. So at least I can tell him we need the money. That's the, people said we can save something from one project, we can cut one project, or we rent out one space. This is peanuts compared with the budget. Only the money from the above is the lion's share. That's the direction we should put our effort on. At least I'm trying, I'm lobbying very hard, and hopefully someday we can get more money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hahn.
Hi. I was willing to wait because I just needed to gather my thoughts a little bit. I had quite a bit I wanted to say this evening. I'm going to condense a great deal. I would like to say that I spend a lot of time at the high school level in town and at the elementary level, and then I see everybody in between because we're at every sport. And I also wanted to wait till the end because I'm a teacher, and I just have such a hard time not focusing on people talking when other people are talking. It's, I don't know, it's that nails on the chalkboard, but kids don't get what that means anymore. But I've been listening to people talk, and the feedback that I have gotten, and I spend way more time on athletic fields than I ever envisioned I would when the kids were small. The conversations that I'm having are that people were happy with the way school started. It was a good start to school. I'm talking to kids. Kids are happy. They're doing well. I stand outside a pickup every day. Parents are just talking about how their kids are thriving. The biggest problem seems to be that there's sort of congestion at the bottom of the slide at our elementary school and what to do about it, which has become a rather serious problem. But the feedback that I get, I am out in the community a lot. I do talk to a lot of people. The feedback I get is positive, or small questions, and we direct people to talk to Dr. Valesky's office. Call the ladies in the back. They are very responsive. The very first time I had a problem in the district was the night before my oldest was supposed to go off to Hammersholt. And for everyone who's sent a child off to Hammersholt, it's just terrifying for the parent, and not so much for the kid, but the parents, like, I freaked out with the first kid. And I realized late that night that our bus pass was wrong, and I didn't know what to do. And I called a friend in the neighborhood who called Mrs. Lax, who called Dr. Valesky, and Mrs. Lax and I were not friends or maybe acquaintances at that point, but she got on the phone, he got on the phone, and Mrs. Lax called me back a few minutes later and said that if we were up early, and I am, that the ladies would call me at 6 to give me the information that I needed so that my son could get on the bus. It was 10 years ago. I won't forget it. Because I see people going onto social media now asking questions. Can anybody tell me why this is happening? And they talk about all the different social media groups they went to ask. Call Dr. Valesky's office. Those ladies are incredibly helpful. And from 10 years ago, when I had nothing to do with any of this, they helped me out really late at night. And I was just a very nervous new Hammersholt mom, and they solved my problem for me for 6 o'clock in the morning. They had to wait till they got here to be able to look at the stuff here. But people are looking for answers everywhere and complaining very, very loudly, but they're not calling the schools. They're not calling the principals. They're not calling Dr. Valesky's office. The answers are here. The question about, there's a lot of questioning about what was going on at Churchill with English, and there's a lot of good information to share about that. I was super impressed that we are able to, with that extra period, individualize for students, not just students with IEPs, but we're able to individualize to meet kids' needs who have different levels of need for help to catch up in English or math. That's not something other districts are able to do. The other thing I wanted to talk about is there is a lot of negative, and I agree with Mrs. Locks, it comes from a smaller group of people in my mind because I just see so many people because I spend so much time at sports. But the small group is very loud about crises, so I want to talk about the way I hear people talking about us from the outside. Other people in the county say that we are the only ones with the early or the later start time for the older kids. This is research-based. I can go back at least 35 years when I was in school, that older children need a later start time. No one else has been able to accomplish this. Dr. Valesky saw the opportunity to do it. We have that. Other districts ask how we got that. Other districts come here to look at our security. Other districts come here to ask questions about how we do what we do. I hear people asking how we managed to get to this level and wishing they had the same level of security. Dr. Valesky did that. We have that. There's a great deal that we have here that I'm excited and grateful for that come from the fact that he's visionary. He sees opportunities. And I find him to be responsive. During the pandemic, we got a lot of those calls, and I know by the end it was kind of a joke, like too many calls. But he kept saying, like, the community wants to know. People are fearful. People are home. People don't know what's going on. And so there was the dashboard online. There were the calls going out. He kept touching base with the community, trying to figure out, like, we'll bring it down to once a week. We'll bring it down to this. That responsiveness, That didn't happen elsewhere in the county. People didn't know what was going on in the schools. Staff said at the time that they were part of the conversation here in East Brunswick, as they should be. That didn't happen in other places. We have that because that's who he is as a leader. I find his availability to be something that I worry about because he has a high school age child, and I feel that he shouldn't be working as many hours as he does, but he does. He just sees opportunities. He's a visionary leader. And as somebody who's been learning a lot about leadership in the past few years, management leaders are good. They can keep a place on a good path. But visionary leaders are something that's very, very difficult to come by. He sees opportunities for our students, and he makes things happen that other places don't have. It's not an accident that our children have these things that other places don't. And it really is just a tribute to him. There is a shortage of school administrators in this state. We have one who is so far beyond the ordinary. And I would just like to refer back to something that I learned from him. During the pandemic, he talked about that they were trying to problem solve each week, and they had times that were problem identification, and then there were times that were solution oriented. And he said, you can only identify problems so long, then you need to work on solutions. You need to stage that. Some problem identification, lots of solution finding. And he's good at that. So he doesn't draw a lot of attention to himself. But I want to say, this is somebody who has made things here no one else has. People wish for it. People want. The excellence in the teams, it starts from the top. And I just wanted to say that this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Gross. Mr. Cummings? Did you have-
Thanks, President Lex. I'll be quick. I wanted to thank those of you who came to the meeting this evening. There's some new faces, I think, in the room, but I also especially want to thank those of you who stayed at the meeting this evening. We know collectively that our ability to move forward is reliant upon our communication in a respectful manner with one another, right? We need to be able to treat and communicate with one another respectfully, and if we can't do that, we're not getting anywhere, and we won't get anywhere. So thank you for those of you who have committed to being in the room tonight and engaging in this manner and continuing to do that. Very quickly, I attended the Walk to School Day with the Warnstoffer crew yesterday, I believe that was. Great group of people, and I'm going to just echo some of the sentiments that I've heard from fellow board members this evening. But when I'm experiencing or when I'm coming into contact with the teachers, with Mr. Satari, the principal, there's such an amazing positivity radiating from these people that I'm just incredibly grateful for as a parent and as a member of this community. And I've said it time and time again that I count my blessings daily for being a part of such an amazing group of people. And I think we need to keep talking about that too, as we're talking about the things that we're working to make better. We get a lot of negative comments. I would love to hear more people coming here telling us about the good things that are happening as well. I think we need that energy. So I myself am grateful. I know my wife shares that feeling with me, and I'm looking forward to a continually bright future for all of us, working collaboratively and respectfully together.
Thank you. Very nicely said. All right. Well, then, we have no need for an extra closed session, so I am going to ask for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mrs. Herrick.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Gross. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.